Fake HOA pulled a gun on my dad, but froze when the FBI stepped out. They thought we were nobodies, just another black family in a quiet white suburb with flower beds and flagpoles, where property values meant more than people. But that day, that exact day, everything changed. Not because of what they did, but because of what they didn't see coming. My name is Kayla Monroe. I'm 22, and I just graduated from Georgetown with a degree in political science. I moved back in with my parents while I interned at the district attorney's office in Fairfax. My dad, Leonard Monroe, is a Vietnam veteran, church deacon, and the kindest soul to ever fix a neighbor's fence without asking for a dime. 3 weeks ago, we moved into Cedar Creek Heights, quiet, tree-lined, seemingly welcoming. But beneath the manicured hedges and American flags was a wrought one that called itself the Cedar Creek Neighborhood Safety Council. We didn't know they were fake. They wore uniforms, drove black SUVs with yellow stripes, called themselves Private HOA Enforcement. But they were just a bunch of power-hungry residents, led by a woman named Karen Holbrook. She wasn't elected. She just declared herself president, like some suburban dictator with a clipboard. At first, it was small stuff notes on our mailbox, warnings about a misplaced recycling bin, reminders that porch flags must be HOA approved. Our Juneteenth banner apparently wasn't, but it escalated. That morning, my dad was walking our dog, Jasper, wearing his olive green army jacket and a navy cap. I watched from our porch, sipping coffee, as the black SUV crawled up. Two people stepped out. One had a body cam. The other had a gun. They shouted, "Hands where we can see them." Dad turned, confused. "Is something wrong?" They said he was loitering, that he fit the description of a trespasser. I dropped my mug. They pulled the weapon higher. I ran. "That's my dad," I screamed. "He lives here, he's a veteran." Karen appeared out of nowhere, smug and calm, arms crossed like a queen. "You people think you're above the rules. We're protecting this neighborhood." My heart was in my throat. Dad raised his hands. Jasper whimpered. My mom stood frozen in the doorway, and then tires screeched. A matte black Escalade slammed to a halt. 4 figures burst out, suits and badges visible before their feet hit the pavement. FBI. Guns trained. Voices thundered, "Drop the weapon, get on the ground." Now the fake officer dropped the gun so fast it clattered across the sidewalk. Karen's eyes widened. Wait, what is this? I'm in charge here." One agent turned to her. "You're under investigation for impersonating law enforcement and unlawful detainment under Federal Statute 18, USC 92. Don't move." Neighbors were filming. One woman across the street dropped her rake. A kid's basketball rolled into the gutter. Forgotten. Every window had a face behind it, and I stood shaking, my arms around my dad, the sun catching the metal still pinned to his jacket. No one had ever pointed a gun at my father before. Not even in war. We thought that was the end. But it was only the beginning. In the days that followed, the truth unraveled like old rope. The Neighborhood Safety Council wasn't just a vanity project. Karen had spent the past year building a shadow HOA, using fraudulent documents and forged signatures to register a pseudo-entity. They had patrols, fake badges. They even fined families, mostly minorities, for invented violations. And no one questioned it until us. The news broke within 24 hours. Veteran held at gunpoint by fake HOA officer in Fairfax suburb. FBI intervenes, private police or paranoia. Karen Holbrook accused of racial profiling and forgery in HOA scandal. I watched Karen being let out in cuffs on CNN while sitting next to my dad, who still hadn't touched his coffee. "You okay?" I whispered. He nodded, but his eyes stayed on the screen. Turns out, I wasn't the only one who'd been taking notes. Mrs. Patel down the road. Fined $300 for having prayer candles on her balcony. Mr. Robinson threatened with eviction over his jazz music. Even the Nguyen family had been told their garden statues were gang symbols. We were tired of whispers. So I organized a town meeting. Hundreds showed up. Neighbors who'd never spoken sat side by side. There were tears. There was fury. A local journalist live-streamed the entire event. One elderly woman stood and trembled as she said, "I never spoke up. I should have. I'm sorry. We voted publicly to dissolve the fake HOA and file a class action lawsuit. But that wasn't the most powerful part. The most powerful part came from my dad. He stood tall, scarred, and quiet as ever. He said, 'I fought for this country, not just for land, but for people, all people. And no uniform, fake or real, gives anyone the right to take that from us.'" The room went silent. Some clapped, others cried. The FBI investigation expanded. More arrests followed. Karen's accomplices, 3 middle-aged residents who fancied themselves community enforcers, were charged with impersonating officers and conspiracy. Karen's house foreclosed to pay restitution. Her Facebook page, once filled with neighborhood pride, vanished overnight, and the veterans group my dad volunteered with. They named a new initiative after him, Monroe Watch, a program dedicated to protecting seniors from HOA abuse and neighborhood discrimination. It wasn't just justice, it was transformation. Cedar Creek became a different place after that. Juneteenth flags flew proudly beside 4th of July ones. Jasper got more belly rubs than ever. And my dad, he finally smiled again. The end.